Another day, another thing wrong with one of the cars in our household. That means that I am out here today working on the Dodge 1500. And the issue that I'm experiencing is that whenever we pull up to a stop sign, the old Dodge here seems to, well, I know for sure, the AC compressor kicks off. And as soon as it starts kicking off, I get hot, humid air inside the cab. And I was thinking to myself, what is going on? There's a couple different things here. So if you know anything about cars, you know that you've got your main serpentine belt here, okay? And that runs a couple different things. Number one, it runs the fan, which pulls air through your radiator to cool off the actual system. It's a liquid cooled system. You have your alternator here. You've got brake lines that are being pumped down there. And over here, the one that I'm worried about, you have your AC compressor. So on the Dodge, there are two different radiators you'll notice on here, which looks a little bit different than probably what you're used to. This is your condenser for the AC unit here. Now, typically it's probably not laid out like this on most vehicles, but you've got your radiator, which is the coolant for the engine, and then you got the coolant for the AC right here. When that's running, there are two different fans. So we got our first fan here coming off of the condenser, and then we have our fan that's coming off of the engine. Obviously, if the engine is turning, that fan is turning. Super important that these have air flowing through them to make sure that the condenser works. Now, a simple test to figure out what's wrong with the air conditioner is to turn on the vehicle, confirm that the air conditioning is turned on, come back over here. There we go, we're spinning. What's gonna happen here? We let it run for a little bit. The other thing I would say that I'm looking at here too is that my fan is not running on this condenser either. So eventually what's gonna happen is the sensor is gonna pick up that the fan isn't running and we're not exchanging any coolant. And that right there is gonna kick off. What's on the front of it is called a clutch, and that engages magnetically, which drives the AC compressor. So you can see now that that's turned off. It tries to kick back on because it knows that inside it's being told, we need to cool things down. Out here, there's an override switch that says, no, stop doing that. Things are too hot. So, easiest way that I could think to test my theory here is, got a box fan. Right now, you can see that things are cycling on and off. It's as simple as putting my box fan here, letting that run air through the exchanger, and what do we see over here when we look at our clutch? We stop cycling on and off. So, next step is to check, do we have a blown fuse, do we have a screwed up relay, or do we just have a dead motor? Well, let's figure it out. Next step here is to open up our fuses. Inside your fuse box, you're gonna see a list of all of the fuses and all of the relays here. So if we look down at 39 here, we see that we have a 25 amp AC condenser fan. And we're gonna look at that. See, it says 39, that shows me where my fuses are. That's my first one all the way on the outside on the left. Looks like in this case, that's a 30 amp. We're gonna go ahead and get a pair of pliers. We're gonna pull that out and see if that's a blown fuse. Easy enough to pull that out of there. Let's take a look now. Oh, we can see that there's nothing wrong with that fuse. That fuse looks perfectly good. Other thing I noticed too is that that's a 30 amp. That is a 30 amp fuse when that calls for a 25 amp. Okay, that one is set. Next thing we're gonna take a look at is, where is our relay? Woo! Where is the relay? Looks like that is probably gonna be 56. Yep, if we take a look there, it says 56 AC condenser relay. We're gonna pull that one out. Now, here's the biggest question. I've got to go online and figure out how to test one of these with my tester that I've got inside to figure out whether or not there's an issue with the actual relay or whether I need to go buy one of these. I'm also going to look up how expensive they are. The other thing that I probably could do before I do any of that is I can pull this wiring harness off of my fan right here, get my tester in there, and check to see if there's actually any power running to that, and that'll give me an answer about whether or not this relay is actually working or whether or not I've got a dead fan motor. Let's do that before we do anything else. Okay, so this harness pulled right off of there, and I've got two different lines in here. I can go ahead and put my probes in each one of those lines. Doesn't look they're gonna wedge in there very well. There's one. There's two. We're gonna go ahead and start up the truck, take a look at this, see whether or not we're actually getting anything to the motor. She's running. Doesn't look like we're getting anything. We have the AC on over there. Well, it does look like we're getting power. Let me kick that off. So I'm reading 1347. I'm going to take the fan away and see if it does kick off here in a minute once that fan shuts off. Was hoping that it would be more a fuse or a relay switch and less to actually having to replace the motor. The next thing would be actually testing. Okay, there it kicked off. It's still getting power because it still wants to run that fan. You can see there were some differences in voltage there. Okay, let's turn the truck off. See what we truck is off. You can see we're getting all kinds of different numbers. Before we were getting a steady 13, so that means that right here we're actually getting what we're supposed to be getting to that fan. So more than likely it looks like we're going to be pulling this whole shroud, this whole assembly up out of here. The next thing to do is to see if we can go online and find a fan motor to replace that. Surprise, surprise, we got ourselves a little trip to the parts store now. I took a look at a couple different places. One of the places that I've shopped at before is Advanced Auto Parts. There's also AutoZone. AutoZone doesn't have it in just the motor. They want to sell me the shroud and the actual fan in that assembly. It's $100. I'm just gonna buy the fan motor for about $30. I think it was $28. You know, we obviously have no parts and labor, or no labor, but just parts. Taxes included. So that's my next step. We're gonna drive up there, pick the parts up, get back here, knock that out, get things cooled down from now on. It is not very often that I get something in the mail, but in this case, I did order that fan mower the other day, so this definitely has to be that. AutoZone, South Boulevard. Look at that. Fantastic. I was actually over there the other day, tried to buy it for $28. They told me they would sell it to me for $90. So I don't understand. They ship it to me for $28. Let's get it open. Let's get it installed. This is not from the actual manufacturer, right? Volvo, whoever they partner with, but it is from Continental. Looks like it's correct. Get this thing torn apart, the truck, and then I think probably before anything, we should plug this thing in and see if it runs to make sure I didn't accidentally misdiagnose this thing, but should be good. Everything looks correct here. Okay, everything seems relatively straightforward on what we got to do here. I'm just gonna get in here. You can see these bolts. Actually, shoot, that sucker's loose right there. And I don't mean like not connected at all. Okay, so there's one 10 millimeter there, and shoot, I don't even need to pop that one loose. There's another 10 millimeter on this side, which connects to a mount. Oh, sorry, wow. Right here, so literally this 10 millimeter, this 10 millimeter, knock those two out. Got to disconnect this electrical line here and get everything going. Okay, so pulled out this, I don't know, pulled out the other fan motor. Okay, this fan motor I think technically would work, but it is not, I mean, it's not gonna work. It doesn't fit. Doesn't fit that. So I went and bought myself another fan motor that's allegedly supposed to fit, and I need to unlock this real quick. Nope, there we go, unlock. Okay, so here's the old fan. Here's the new fan. Okay. Now the real question is, does this new fan fit what I'm trying to do? And by the way, being able to pull out this table, roll it out here, set it up next to the car is awesome. Okay. Now here's the new motor. I think this will work. Just not 100% sure here. Okay, old motor is here. New motor is here. And here is the other motor. So you can see this is motor number 3, but this has got the same sort of mounting bracket and piece that this one does. The front part of this is a little bit different than this one, but I think regardless, with the way that the fan is set up here, oh yeah. Fits fine. So we just gotta get this installed. And we gotta get to work. Cool. Put that on the time lapse, let you guys watch that. Okay, everything's back in there. That motor actually fit in there. The only downside with that motor is that was an $80 motor, but you can see wiring's all hooked up. That fits. Condenser's all back in. Now the question is, you know, when it's actually running, will the AC pump over here continue to run? Will this fan run? So let's start her up so we find out. That is awesome. That fan is running now. You can see that the AC pump over there continues to roll. I would say this is a thumbs up. Job well done. I am no longer going to sit at stoplights and die from heat. So let's get the tools away and let's get to work.